Could you put your phone on mute if you're on the class, please? All right, great. Okay, so last class we left off, let's go over to the Tableau side so we can kind of refresh. So there was a couple of things I wanted to mention from our previous workbooks that sheets that we worked on this week, and one of them was when I couldn't find the Dutch Harbor, I realized, and I changed the PowerPoint presentation, it's in destination city and not origin city. So I just kind of changed this from origin city to destination. I also updated the PowerPoint. And what I wanted to show, I'm going to take this off of the filter because I want to show you something. So now I'm going to add the destination city name to the filter. Actually, let me see, it's got some, yeah, let me add destination city name to the filter. So we're going to add that here. I'm going to select everything. And then I'm going to, so I have a relationship between these two because I was trying to bring in another file. So let me just go back and undo these changes here. We only have one sheet. Okay, let me close this. So whenever you have a data source that you're not using, just close it so it can get out of the way and don't get confused. So now that I have that closed, we should be able to. So now when I move the destination city to the filter, I wanted to show you that you can click on that from the filter and then show highlight. So that if it was way down this list, you can easily find it by using the highlighter. And so here's our search right here, and we start typing Dutch, and it automatically highlights it. So you have the option to do a filter and a highlight. So that's the key that I wanted. If you couldn't find something, you just start typing it. And just make the actual field a highlighter, and then it's easy to find it in your sheet. So that was a couple of things that I wanted to talk about. So now we can continue with our course. So the next sheet we're going to do is called linear regression, and I realized that the previous class did not have the right file, so I'm going to actually use the previous workbook from our class in February just so we can get through this, and then I'll go back and update the class for today, which has today's date on it. But for me to see all of these type of exercises, we need to just use a previous workbook. So this one is going to go over linear regression model. So we're going to open up Tableau workbook and point to a extract. So I want to review how you get to an extract. So if I do File, New, connect to the data. To get to a Tableau extract, you just go to More, and then it automatically goes to your hard drive, and then you can pick the Tableau extracts. I just wanted to make sure that you're aware of that. This file has an extension of TDE. This is an older version of Tableau extracts. The files that you create now for extracts will be .hyper, H-Y-P-E-R. Those are much faster extracts. So if you have any extracts that have .TDE, republish them, and they'll be much faster using the new format that Tableau uses in the newer versions, which is called .hyper. So that's basically how you would pull in the data from a Tableau extract. So let me just cancel out of this. We can continue on. So once we open up this extract with distance, we're going to confirm the data source preview pane has a so I've already done this piece right here. So basically it was a field in the data source that had this real long weird name, and then we renamed it to distance. So that we can use this distance formula in this correlation exercise. So we're going to call this new sheet Correlation Analysis 2. And we're going to drag the award serve to the filter shelf. and then we're going to check in for nonstop flights, and then select apply to all, so that whatever filter we use on this sheet, it would apply to all sheets within the entire dashboard. So let's go ahead and do this part here where we create this correlation analysis too. Just going to rename this so we can do it from scratch. All right, so copy and paste to save time. So we created the correlation to worksheet here. Next, it wants us to take the award serve and drag it to the filter shelf. So let's look for it here now, right here. Drag it to the filter shelf. And let's edit to see, make sure it's, so it wants us to pick in, I believe. Yep, check in for nonstop flights only, and then select apply to all sheets. To apply to all sheets, you click on the drop down of the filter and select apply to all sheets. This means this filter node will be applied to every single sheet within your dashboard, within your workbook. Next, we're going to create a calculated field called to correlate between distance and fare. So we're going to just grab this name, and then we'll just go over how we did this class earlier this week, but we'll do this again just to reinforce this exercise. So create a calculated field is to drop down here. Then to do correlation, Tableau has a built-in function called CORR. And let's see, make sure we put these in the right order. So it wants us to do distance, then fare. So distance, south first. And remember, we can go over here to see the syntax of how it's supposed to work. So it's basically separated by a comma. Let's go to my other computer and make sure. I think it's unrestricted fare. Yep, there we go. Oops, so we have an error. Let's see what this error is. Oh, yeah, no problem. So, because I've already we'll get that a lot. So that's just telling me that I already have a field name that called that. So just change it to a 2. And so this is correlating between the distance and the fare of the airline data here. So next it wants us to take this new field, calculated field that we just created, and drag it to the text marks card. So that gives us this one correlation field here. And remember that we can, let's see if this is available for us to, yeah, so this particular one, we usually have a dot. But let's go back here and do this again. So just correlating those two together, it didn't ask us to do that. I was just trying to reinforce from the last class, but let me just show that real quickly. So if we have distance, let's just do it this way, distance. Fair. Give us this single dot here that put, and to get more analysis, we uncheck the aggregated measures. So just want to reinforce that when you have a single dot that you can get more information by clicking the analysis and unchecking the aggregated measures. So next, let's see what our next step is. So we just created this particular 1 through 6. The next step, it wants us to create a new sheet and call it Regression Analysis. So basically all that was showing you is just the formula of correlating distance to fair. So now we're going to do the next part of this, which is regression analysis. Drag the distance to the column shelf and unrestrict it to the row shelf. Remember to, oops, let me check on here. Oh, no problem. No worries. Okay, so let's go back and join. Oh, get out the way. Okay. So we're going to create a new sheet. I accidentally hit dashboard. Just remember this, we have a lot here. Just click here, double click to give it a name. We already have this name, so I'm just adding to here. So drag distance to the row shelf and unrestricted fares to the row shelf. Oh, I'm sorry, drag distance to the column shelf and unrestricted fares to the row shelf. Let's find distance. Remember, you can use this search to find fields quickly. So I'm just going here, it's the little magnifying glass. If you don't see it pop up, just click on the magnifying glass. So we're moving this to the column shelf. And then unrestricted fares to the row shelf. And this is basically that single point I briefly went over. Then go in and uncheck the aggregation marks. And then after that, we're going to switch to the analytics pane and drag a trend line and select linear. So this is going to show you the linear example. So up top here, we click on analysis, uncheck aggregation measures. Then here, right next to data, we click on analytics pane. Then it wants us to do a trend line. So let's find the trend line here, right here. And then you have different choices. So it wants us to do linear. So we'll do linear. And that's kind of showing you how your data is trending. So this is your first model using a linear model. We'll go over those other ones. So just want to make sure. So we'll go and show what the different types of trend lines. So let's go do that again and do a different one. So logarithmic, my tongue is getting tied. That gives you that style. So you basically want to just see which one is the story you're trying to tell and pick the right model. But you have many choices to use. We'll just keep it back to the original so to match the PowerPoint. So that's basically how you add a trend line. If you have a scatter plot with a lot of dots everywhere and you're trying to figure out, are things trending up or down, staying the same, just add a trend line. By using the tab Analytics here, just right next to data, then going down the trend line and dragging it until you pick the right model that you like for your trend line. Any questions? Okay, so we'll continue on. This kind of just shows you the different trend lines using regression analysis and a scatter plot. Our next type of statistical model is called Kmeans, and this deals with clusters. So this is something that's built into Tableau automatically. So if you ever need to further analyze data, like we did with the scatter plot chart, you also have some other choices to get additional metrics behind the scenes. So let's go ahead and create this next one. So we're going to create a sheet called Cohort Analysis. Then it wants us to drag the city pair to the row shelf and the distance to the text marks. City pair is right here, the row shelf, and then the distance to the text mark. You can never find distance, so I just type it here. Save time. So I'm just going to put it here. Let's just put it over the text marks card. See, okay, there. So it wants us to switch to the analytics pane and drag cluster to the viz, and then sort the data descending by distance. So let's switch to analytics and drag cluster. So here's when you have additional options built in Tableau to get more insight on your data. So I'm going to click on the analytics pane, and you notice the only thing available is the cluster. So we're going to drag that into the data pane right here. Just over there, make sure it's highlighted, it says cluster. And Tableau automatically starts clustering my data and categorizing it. So let's say you wanted more clusters. So it automatically gave me 3. You could just go here and start typing 5. And then it'll just continue. So the more clusters you need, you just continue to add the number there. So we'll keep it at automatic for now. Just click on this little X to remove this pop-ups. So now it has clustered the data. So we want to sort the data, then drag the cluster from color marks to the data pane. So let's see here. So here it is on the color mark here. Just sort the distance. Actually, we wanted it by descending. Make sure that's descending. Yep, that's descending. So drag this onto the data pane. And now it tells you which cluster these values are in. So if I right click on this cluster here, I can go down and select describe clusters so we can understand what is more detail of what it's doing to do the clusters. And you could actually copy this entire informational sheet and put it into your dashboard also. So it's basically giving you all the math of what it's doing when developing those clusters. Again, that's the drop down here on the cluster, and then describe cluster. Okay, so let's keep moving on. So I want to get to some other topics. This is an example of data that was bunched together. Then when you added additional clustering, it broke it out more. So first it was all grouped, crowded together here. Then you get more clusters to give you more analysis. So we're going to create a new sheet and call it Regression Cohort Analysis. Now we're going to take the distance measure and drag it to the column shelf and the unrestricted fair to the row shelf, and then go to the analytics pane. Column shelf. Then we're going to get unrestricted fairs. Switch to analytics pane here. So this time it didn't tell us to uncheck the aggregate button, so we'll just keep following along. Now it wants us to drag the trend line to the viz and select linear. And that's basically showing you there's no change. It's just because it's just one value, so it's stagnant right at that value. So if you have a single point, it can also show a trend line. So next we're going to drag city pair to the cluster. City pair cluster. Let's see if that created it. Sometimes this go to data here. Here, city pair cluster. So when we created that cluster in the previous sheet, it automatically added that to our dimension. So now we have this available to us. So the previous sheet, when we had went to the analytics pane and created a cluster, it automatically made it a field and now for us to select from. So it wants us to take this to the filter shelf. And does it want us to pick any particular one, drag it to the filter shelf, select none, then show filter. I don't know if it likes that. Let's just take this off and see if this is affecting our. Let's show filter so we can see our different values here. A lot of times Tableau, you have to do a lot of trial and error. So there. So we select none. And then this is the key part here. It's showing you the built-in R squared and p-value, which right now there's no p-value. So let's pick this. See if it changes. Still no p-value. But basically, this particular trend line, if you had data that was available, then it would show the p-value and R squared and a lot of the formulas that we're seeing that we were showing. Let's see if this. So it's basically saying R values, R squared value to the p-value. And you see a lot of that in all of these formulas, like here, it's showing you different hypotheses. So that represents part of the formula that's dealing with your different models. Let's go to cohort regression analysis here just to make sure. I think there's some, yeah. Did it ever have? Yes, it always had no value. Okay, just want to make sure. So those are the main topics that I want as far as the PowerPoint presentation. And now I want to go over some additional information specifically to 2019. So there's additional features for Tableau 2019. For example, there's Ask Data. So when you get access to publish and the Tableau server, which those instructions are were in the last email from the last class, and it's also in the shared drive on how to create a ServiceNow ticket and get access to publish to the server. So let's go to the server. This is the site that you would go to, and it automatically authenticate. Once you have access, it authenticate through max.gov. And since I'm administrator, I have multiple sites, you will only have access to the default site unless you have a special reason to have access to case. So majority of you will be going to the case site and you only have 1 or 2 folders here. So I'm going to, basically when you first see Tableau, this is a screen that you'll see. You'll see Explorer and you'll see a list of folders. Click on this over here, this caret, to kind of let you see your choices over here. Of course, you won't see users and things like that because you're not an admin. This first drop-down list here gives you a list of things. I want to go to data sources because that's where I want to go over. So I'm just going to click on one of these data sources. And you automatically, as soon as you click on a data source, you automatically have access to Ask data for your data source. Then you can begin to start asking questions, just very quick questions of the data. So for example, if I want to know how many records is in this particular data source, you start typing sum, and we know that Tableau has a number of records in every, most of the time, in every dashboard. So let's go ahead and just start. Usually when you start typing, this is a little slow. I guess because we're on the, oh man, I'm on the VPN. I didn't mean to be on the VPN. Number of records. So it usually comes up on the bottom here. Let me get off of the VPN, maybe it'll. What? Oh, so this one actually doesn't have number of records in here as an actual field. So, but you can pick some completed dollars, for example, which is right below. It'll start giving you suggestions below here, which is right here. You click that, and then you can get quick answers to your data without actually building a dashboard, so that you can quickly just see, like if you want to check to see if your data was updated, for example. You know, you're supposed to have 15 million rows or this amount of money, then you can quickly just do ask data questions on your data and get answers. And you can continue to, and using these particular, so this is the list of the fields that you have available to you. So then I can say filter by award type. Could I see that award type is one of the fields? Let's enter. Let me get off this VPN. A second. And you don't need to be on the VPN to access the server. So just hopefully we'll get a little faster here. All right, so here we go. So once you start typing, oh, come on. Yeah, so then I'm going to get rid of this one because I just want to see if I award type only. So I'm just going to remove this particular one, X out of it. And now I can see completed dollars by award type here. And you can change the chart to different types of charts. You can also use this, copy this sheet itself and use this sheet if you want to use it for further analysis. Trying to see, there's a little button here, my screen. But basically, that's basically what Ask Data does. It lets you ask different questions of your data, and it has to be on a data source, not a workbook, but on your data. So that's why I want to make sure you click on data only. So we pick data here, and then you go to any of your data sources, click on it, and then you can ask questions. I'll go back to my PowerPoint. Tableau also with the new version, I think this actually happened in 2018. You can actually take a data set that's Excel and a database and do a join, but it's only for specific ones. Let's bring this particular topic up. Hopefully this won't block me. I'm going to explain this piece here. So now if you have database and an Excel spreadsheet and you need to create a relationship between the two, these are the rules right here. So you can have an Excel, PDF, text file type, and then you can join it to any of these. So you can't do SQL Server, that's not on the list, but I'm sorry, you can't do MySQL. You can do SQL Server, Oracle, Postgres, and Vertica. So you can take your Excel spreadsheet. If you have a field in there that has a relationship with your database, you can create a join, and I'll show you an example of that. And this is in the PowerPoint, so you can always go back and look at this particular. So that's the same thing when we were creating relationships. And it actually asks you when you're getting ready to do that to make sure if you want to use a database join. So this is called a cross database join. Trying to see where it is. Oh, here we go. Trying to make the screen bigger. So your cross database join. So one source is Excel and the other source is from the database. And it automatically knows that you're doing a cross database join. So that's something new that you can do that you couldn't do in previous versions. I think as of 2018, you can do this. So that's good news if you're trying to, because before you had to do like blend data and things like that. So you don't have to do blend data. You can do this. Tableau also has integration with Mapbox and has new functions. So now to deal with space, you can do data relationships based on geographical. So you can make a line, you can make a point, and this is the syntax for making a line. Long as you have two geometrical type fields, you can make it so like if you have like ours, original city and destination city, you can make a line between those two geometric fields, like if there are two zip codes from zip code to zip code, you put those two fields in here to make a line. You can make a point. You have a latitude and longitude field. You can then, because those are two different fields, you can make a single point between those two for like GIS data. And it's also saying you can do latitude or XY coordinates. And also now you also have a way, once you have the correct type of field, the points or whatever you need, now you can just say, give me the distance between the two. So you can take those two fields, take the two location fields, and then tell what unit of measure you want to see the distance. So with those are the new things to deal with mapping. Just want to bring up calculated fields so you can just see. So that's the different fields there. See, make, yeah, make point, make line, so that they're in the Tableau. That's something new that wasn't there before 2018. So with that in mind, I just wanted to show, let's see if we can look at an example of what someone did with the Mapbox integration with Tableau. So they were able to create, using Mapbox, integrate the Mapbox mapping and then put it into a story visualization. And then they could tell us stories. This is basically showing population in New York during certain times. Of course, it's not now during COVID, but this is what it used to be like. And you can just basically see what on a Thursday at 4 a.m. less population, things like that. Then it got way to tell a story and things. So this example is in the PowerPoint if you want to kind of look at that and learn more about that. Just wanted to show that it has a lot of powerful tools that that are out there and that you can integrate with. I don't know, we'll have to double check to see if Mapbox is valid software for GSA, but I think they're working on, someone's requested ArcGIS, so there might be possibly ways to integrate ArcGIS with Tableau to check with IT security. So another function of 2019 is explain data. Let me see, let's pull up a brand new workbook for that. So let's do brand new workbook. I like to just use the sample superstore because it's very simple and can easily explain some of the functions. And so you have to have, in order to do, you have to have enough data to do explain data. So what I want to do is go over a couple of other things, such as side-by-side bar charts, because that came up as a question between classes. So let me go over on how to create that, and then maybe we'll get a explain data. And then I'll also put the instructions inside the Google Drive. So for side-by-side, let's start with a measure. So you need a measure first. So we're going to take sales, put it to the row shelf. Then we need a dimension. Oh, wonderful. So ArcGIS is an acceptable add-on for Excel. So I haven't had a chance to play around with that tool. So if you have access to that, please explore those GIS functions, make distance and make point, make line. Thanks, John. So now we have a regular bar chart, nothing fancy here. And the reason why I'm doing it this way is because you can't just click on show me and then get it. Okay, so these are the steps that you have to do, and it's very frustrating if you don't know this. So that's why I want to put this on the recording so you can see the different steps that you have to do to get this side-by-side chart. So now I have a dimension and I have a measure. So now I'm going to bring in another measure. So let me just bring in profit. So now I have these two charts and I want them side by side. So now I click here. And I click on the side-by-side chart here. And it's one more step. Let me see here. Okay, of course this is not working exactly how I just did it. So the key also I wanted to show you is when I brought in the two, I now have two measures here on the side, and it's combined it into one. So when you do side by side, it automatically puts all your measures into one pill here. Hate when I'm using different versions. Okay, so why is it not doing what I want it to do? I want to actually see. Okay, so let's do side by side. Oh, I see. It's not enough of data to really. Let's see if we can do discount maybe. I don't have enough data to show it, but this base. I hate that. But those are the steps, and I also have them in a Word document to show you how that works. I don't know why. For some reason, when I use different versions of Tableau, I get different results. So please be aware that you have those kind of issues sometimes. All right. So the other thing I wanted to go over is if you have two measures and you want to do dual axis. So let's say I want to do the profit, go back to profit here, not the ratio. So I have sales and I have profits, and I want to make profit a line chart and sales stays a bar chart. So now I have these two. I click on sales and it's a bar chart here. I click on profit. Then I click on the drop down because I want to make profit a line and select line. Then since it's the same color, I want to be able to see the line on top here. So I'm going to pick color and pick that. So now to make this one chart, click on dual axis. Of course, it changed everything that I just did, unfortunately, but we just make it the same. So we'll go back and pick sales and make it a bar chart. And there. And so that's how you have a dual axis chart. So now what it's doing is it's showing this line here for the profit. This is the measures for the profit, and this is the measures for the sales. What if you wanted to kind of make them on the same scale? You right click here and say Synchronize Axis. And now they are both on the same scale here. And then you can click the show header to remove this because they're both on the same axis now. So that's basically, I wanted to demo that. Let's see. So this is what I was wanted to also show, the explain data. So you have to have some data for it to explain. So basically now this little icon here for explain data is available to explain what's going on with your data. Of course, ours is very simple, but it starts doing different analysis for your data. But this one doesn't have enough in it. Let's see. Let's jump over to the other one and see if it gives us something. No, see, it's not available for that. Let's see. Let's grab a set. I want to go and create a work dashboard. Let's see if we can grab. So I'm grabbing this set of data here. And it does not. So that's what I'm saying. It's not available all the time. So you just look for that little icon here, and then it'll give you more information. Let me just add this to a dashboard and see if we can get some more here. Let's add it to a dashboard. And that way I can drag. Let's see if we get these two, see if it'll give us anything. No, so, but it is available when you have the right combination of data. If you have a lot of information, you're trying to figure out what is it doing, you can go in and then get more details in the background of your explain data. Next, I wanted to show map data. So I'm going to put in here a new sheet, and I'm going to add in some location data. So I'm going to look for state. Bring that to the row shelf. Then I'm going to bring in profit. So I want to see profit per state. Drag that here. Then I want to take profit and put it on the color mark. Before I do that, let's just show this in a map format. So we're going to pick map. Oops, this one. I like this one better. So right now it's showing profit where California is the highest profit. The darker are the highest, and the less profit Texas, as far as this chart is here. But what if we wanted to just know which ones are profited and which ones are not profitable? So we just go into the color, edit, and just pick 2 steps. So we just see profit or not. And now we can easily see which states are profitable and which ones are not right away. And then you can also grab profit itself and put it on the label. Any questions? Okay, so I want to also show how to make a calendar. So the first thing I have to do for a calendar is I need to have a date field. Let me check to see. Somebody's got their phone not on mute. Let's see here. Who is the Kelly? Let me see if I can take her off. Oh, there we go. Okay, cool, perfect. All right, so now let's create a calendar visualization. So in order to do a calendar visualization, you have to have a date field. So let's do a new sheet. And if I do order date, I'm going to just show you two different types of calendars. So I'm bringing order date to the column shelf. And the first thing I need to do is make that a month. Then I bring in the same order date field to the column shelf. And then I need to come down to more and make that weekday. So now that I have the weekday and the month, so I have the month and the day of the week right there. Next, I do order date again and bring it to the row shelf. And I want to make this the week number. So go down to more. So I only want to see 1 month at a time. So I'm going to drag the order date to the filter, and I'm going to select just month and year. And I only want to just see January's data, January 2016. To get the actual day, I'm just dragging this out so it can be easy to see. Here we go. Sometimes it's a pain. All right, so now I want to see the day of the week this is. So I'm going to grab the order date again and put it right here and then change it to day. And then drag it on top of text. So now I have a counter. So I don't have dates. I have missing fields for the day. And the reason is because I'm only using order date and there aren't orders every day. So if I wanted to see a calendar that had a date, whether it was an order or not, I need to join another data set to this that has all the dates available. So let's go and do that now. So I'm going to go to data source and I'm going to add an Excel spreadsheet, and this is in the data source on the shared drive, and it's going to be Excel, and it's just my calendar. Oh, where is it hiding? Let me go grab it. Oh, there it is, my calendar right here. So all I did was, and I'll open that up so you can see. So we have to do our data relationship as we learned about earlier. So I need to find the order date here on this list, and then relate it to the date in my calendar spreadsheet. So now I have a data relationship. Normally we pick left, right? So let's go back to sheet 3 and just type in calendar so I can. But what we want to do is we want to use my calendar now because it has all of the dates. But before we use my calendar, we need to change the data relationship to full outer join so that we get every single date available from my calendar. Let me open up that sheet so you can see that it's just a simple Excel sheet. So if you need to do something like a calendar, just make sure you have a sheet that has all the available dates so that you can see things that are within the date range and that are not in the date range. Let's open. Did I have it listed here? It should be, but maybe not. And you can quickly create this kind of calendar. All I did was type in a date. So I typed in a date here, 1/1, and I say I want 2017 or 2020, for example. And if you just drag this little corner here, it'll automatically just start doing the dates. And you just go all the way down to how far you need to go. So that's all I did to create these dates. Just put one date in and then drag down as far as I needed to go. So that's all that's in my calendar. It's just a set of dates for where I want my calendar to begin and end. That's it. So I'm going to X out of this. I'm not going to save it. So now we have the full join between the orders and my calendar. So now let's go create another calendar here. And we're going to use the one from my calendar that has all the dates available. So we take my calendar, bring it up to the column, change it to month. Oh, why is it doing something different? Oh, let me double check that it has the right data type in there. Okay, yep, it's there. So what I'm going to do is, since the other one is already built, let's go back to the calendar that we fixed. And I'm just going to drag the my calendar. And all I'm doing is replacing all of these dates instead of order date and putting my calendar date here. So I'm going to pick my calendar, month, and do it again, weekday. Or my calendar, week number. And now let me see if I refresh. I don't know. We'll just keep going. Sometimes it behaves and sometimes it doesn't. So here we go. Now it wants to behave for some reason. We want this number here. Pick the month and year, and just January. And now when I select day, I should get a value for every single day of the month. So let's keep our fingers crossed and hopefully this will give us what we want. Here, and then change it to day. And then the only reason why we put it up here is just to change it to day. We just a placeholder till we can drag it on top of the text mark. And now we have a day because we have a full outer join with that. So now I want to see profit per what day is most profitable for my orders. So let me drag profit to the color. And this is kind of hard to see, so I want to change this visualization to make it easier to see. So I'm going to change these boxes from text to squares. And there you have showing you which days was more profitable in a calendar here. If you don't want to see this week here to the left, you can right click and then uncheck show header. And you can also right click on this heading up top and say hide field labels. And that's how you have a calendar. So you have the calendar placeholder, and then since it has a relationship with the order date, it automatically knows which days has orders and which days does not. And you can also bring in the profit on the label if you want to see that actual money out there. Any questions? Yeah, so this is a little tricky. You just go back to the recording and look at this particular example. But the key for this example is that you have to have another data source that has all of the calendar dates for the calendar that you're trying to display. And then you can build a relationship with your main data and make sure it's a full outer join. That's the main key to creating this kind of calendar. I don't have any other items to go over. These are just some other things to look at on your spare time. We can just open up this and see what other folks have done with animation. Let's see if it's still. Just kind of study. You can actually take this workbook and download it. I believe I've downloaded it myself, so I know you can. And matter of fact, I'll just add it to. I'll add it to the share drive. But it's all kind of things out there that you can do. So people are doing great and exciting things, and to keep up, I just kind of always watching what other people are doing and download it and try to study and learn it. So just that's in there as a reference for you to see different ways to use Tableau. So let me get this attendance real quick before everybody logs off. And while I'm getting the attendance, just let me know if you have any other questions. Let me get a new file for today. Come on. Okay, so let me just X out of this one and save it. Why was my new button not showing up? This computer's giving me all kind of problems. Okay, I'll just go to the old one. And add to it. No questions? Okay. Well, if they pop up in your head later, feel free to email or chat me. Some people did do that from the last class. That's how I was able to show some of these other items because they asked about some of these things. So let me see. I'm trying to drag this here. Thank you. Let me grab your name before you leave. One quick second. Delete. That's the better. And you'll be getting a certificate. I'm trying to get them out by tomorrow for this class. And please, please, please don't forget to fill out the survey. Let me know what I can improve on, how the class would, other things you want to see in the class that we might not have gone over. And I appreciate your time and hope to see you whenever we have another update. All right. Thank you so much for your time. I want to end the recording now.
Thank you.
Thank you.